there is no neutral gear in leadership. You got to always be looking for people. Always keep an eye out. Your volunteer pitch probably shouldn't be, "We got nobody to do this. Can you help us?" Right? It should be, "We get this awesome opportunity to lead our congregation in worship every weekend. We're looking for people who are passionate about that." Like people want to be a part of something that is making a difference.
Welcome to the Worship Probs podcast, where we aim to entertain, encourage, and equip worship and tech leaders all around the world. Look, we all know that serving in worship and production is great, but the problems, those are real. Thanks for joining us as we dive into today's episode with our host, Brian Tabor.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 377 of the Worship Probs podcast, live from Worship 424. That's so awesome, man. That never gets old. I got to tell you, it never gets old. And this is one of our favorite things we get to do. So much of what we do is online, on social media or whatever. So to get to be here, and normally I'm just in my basement, and this is my wife, Kim. A lot of times she's upstairs in our kitchen, and so we're interviewing somebody who might be in Australia or Nashville or California or wherever. And so to get to be with you in person is just always a thrill. So we're so glad that you're here. This is our first time at Worship 424. Are you guys having a great time? Yeah, it's amazing. So you're having a great time. We're having a great time. And when I think about greatness, like words like awesome, magnificent, I think about one person, and that's Mrs. Probs, my wife, Kim Tabor. Would you welcome Kim Tabor to the podcast today?
Oh, thank you. What do you want? My goodness, what
it's cold, right? Yes. We're at Cedarville University, Cedarville, Ohio. It's really, really cold.
Very snowy.
How many of you are from Ohio? A lot of people from Ohio. Yes. We had people from Illinois, Indiana,
nice.
Kentucky. Got a whole crew from Kentucky. Where else? If I didn't get your state, where are you from? I got them all.
That covers it.
That was good. That was great. Well, it's our first time here, and we're loving the Cedarville campus. It's a great place. Had a great night of worship with. I used to call him Uncle Paul. He is uncomfortable with that, with the uncle label. So we call him Brother Paul. Great night of worship with Brother Paul last night. Paul Balash. It was just outstanding. So, this is going to be a great episode. So whatever you're doing, maybe you're watching on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform, whatever you're doing, grab some coffee, settle in, get ready, because we've got prayer concerns for you, those unhinged comments that you get from the people in your church. We're going to share some of those. But first, we're going to take questions from the room live. And I've got a couple of preloaded that we got on Instagram, and those are always coming in. So if you're listening or watching and you have a question, shoot us a DM on Instagram. Let us know. What are you wrestling with in your ministry? Because this episode is all about that, and we call those sliding into the DMs. So thanks for hanging out with us today. Before we dive in, we got to get some major love to our amazing friends, Planning Center. This episode of the Worship Probs podcast is brought to you by Planning Center, an all-in-one software that can help you organize every facet of your ministry, connect with your people, and help your people stay connected to each other. Among the many ways Planning Center can help you do that is through task management. In Planning Center, you can create detailed tasks, organize to-do lists, and even collaborate on those tasks with other team members in real time. Do you have recurring events and projects with long to-do lists? Make a task list template to save time. Have regular tasks you need help keeping up with? Set your tasks to automatically repeat at an interval of your choosing. And the best part is that you can create tasks from absolutely anywhere in Planning Center using the toolbar. You'll find your Tasks tab in Planning Center Home, the place you see all the important updates happening across your account. To learn more and get started today, visit planningcenter.com or click the link in our bio. Prayer Concerns is brought to you by our friends at AE Global. Worship and production ministry is hard. Every week you're preparing, troubleshooting, and dreaming about what could be next. And most days, it can feel like you're doing it all alone. But what if you had a trusted partner who understood the pressure and chaos and walked with you through it? For more than 30 years, AE Global has been building relationships with churches just like yours, helping with everything from audio, video and lighting to system design and even installation. But they're more than an integrator, and they're about more than just selling gear. AE Global is a team that comes alongside you and a partner for the long haul, someone to brainstorm, troubleshoot, and dream with. They don't just care about your equipment, but the people behind it. Because great ministry happens when you don't have to carry it all by yourself. If you're ready for a partner who understands church production and wants to help you move forward with confidence, visit the link in our bio and reach out to AE Global today. Don't do ministry alone. Navigate it together with AE Global. Okay, this may be my favorite live audience ever. You guys are amazing. We need to tell you when we're doing the next one of these so you can come and join us. Okay, so we love unpacking your questions, and we do that in a segment called Sliding into the DMs. So I've got a couple of things preloaded here that maybe will get the wheels turning in the room. And again, if you have a question, in a second, we'll have you come up to this mic. Just give us your name, maybe just your first name, depending on the nature of the question. You might, like this guy goes by potatoes, and you might want to just... If you're throwing some team members under the bus, you might want to go by potatoes or some other vegetable or fruit, and so nobody knows who you are. Okay, so here's a question that we got on Instagram. It says, we have a couple of people on our team that have gotten a little territorial about the certain things. Once they sing or play a particular song, they kind of consider it theirs, and nobody else can sing or play it. How should we address this? So, what would you say to that? That
never happens, does it? Oh, my goodness.
Anybody ever deal with that in the, right? What do you think?
That can be a tough one. I think there probably has to be an honest, little bit of an uncomfortable conversation that happens, explaining that this is not, these songs don't necessarily belong to any of us. And so I think the focus has gotten on ourselves in this situation and needs to be put back where it should be, back on the Lord. It's a tough thing because then you get involved with comparisons, and because I'm sure that after a person says that's my song, then the comparisons start in the mind. I sing that song better, I lead that song better, whatever it may be, and comparisons, that's the kiss of death. You just cannot, it's fruitless, and it's just not a good thing. God gifted each and every one of us uniquely and individually. No one sounds exactly like you. No one communicates exactly like you. We've all been given precious, unique gifts, and we cannot get into the rut of comparison. So I would say you just have to have kind of an uncomfortable conversation and let this person know, and make sure that you're spreading the song around. To different people to lead, Yeah,
I think that's really, really great. I would say, how many of you are the leader on your team? So it's kind of sort of a good news, bad news situation for you, right? So many of these things, I think, come back to leadership. It's an opportunity for leadership. And so I would always encourage every leader, like when somebody wants to join your team, those need to be intentional processes and steps that you take with them. And that's an opportunity for us as leaders to establish culture, to talk about culture. This is the culture of our team. This is how we assign songs or whatever. And just that probably is something that you would want to handle in your on-ramp process. If it's somebody who's already on the team, it also probably is an opportunity for a leadership conversation to just say, hey, that's I know you did this song and you do a really great job with that song, but you're not on every week, and if you're not on and that's a song we're going to use, obviously somebody else is going to do it. So I think it's an opportunity to again establish your leadership, talk about the culture of your team, and everybody has a place here, and really we all hold on to our gifts loosely.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that's what I would say. Okay, number 2 that we got on Instagram, and again, after this one, if you guys have questions, come up to the mic, just give us your name and ask. So this is the second one we have. It says, I feel isolated and alone in ministry. I'm struggling to find volunteers to serve in our worship ministry. Help. I can tell you, if we get 30 DMs a week, probably 25 of them are about volunteers. Any of you would say, I'm completely flush with volunteers, I'll never recruit again. Not a single hand in the room, right? So I would love to tell you that I have this super secret silver bullet that solves volunteerism, once and for all time. I don't. And probably, this would be a good question when we get to heaven. This would be a good question for the Lord. That was on purpose, right? There was something that you were wanting to sow into us as leaders, as churches, to continue to get people involved. And so here's what I would say. There is no neutral gear in leadership. You got to always be looking for people. Always keep an eye out. If there's a newcomers class or some kind of a thing at your church where you welcome new people, whoever teaches that, you need to say, hey, by the way, what's your favorite song? We're going to do that if you let me come. I'm kidding. If you let me come to the new class. No, but you need to be at that. You need to attend that if you can. If it's during a service, maybe after you leave the platform, after the worship set, that was my rhythm at our last church. I would duck in, and they were kind enough to introduce me, and I got to talk a little bit about the worship ministry and the production ministry and the culture and why it's important. And that would bring me to my second point, and that is your volunteer pitch probably shouldn't be, we got nobody to do this, can you help us, right? It should be, we get this awesome opportunity to lead our congregation in worship every weekend. We're looking for people who are passionate about that. People want to be a part of something that is making a difference. And at the same time, everybody's nuked schedule-wise, right? It just seems like, calendars are berserk. And if you're a parent, you've got to get dinner on the table, and you've got to get kids to games and practices and rehearsals and all kinds of stuff. And so you need to make sure that when they get there, you're being good stewards of their time. Take time to care for your volunteers. Your current volunteers are probably your best recruiters for new volunteers. We did a thing once in our church, in the last church I was in, that, and this was a sort of an exception. I get that, but we had 2 people in the worship ministry that had doctors of music. And it was just the most bizarre, I've never had it before, never had it since. Doctors of music. And one of them taught music theory, for a living at her college. So I got this idea. I was like, hey, would you ever be willing to teach some music theory to our team? Of course I would. I was like, okay, how about in the summertime, let's pick like 3 or 4 Wednesday nights in a row. And we're just going to have open call to anybody in our church who would like to learn more about music theory. And we had a gigantic turnout. And I will tell you, probably 60% of the people who came to that were not currently serving on the worship team. It was the best recruiting effort I ever had in 30 years. Now, you might say, oh, that sounds great. I don't have 2 doctors of music in my, okay, well, did you study music theory? And it, by the way, doesn't have to be music theory, but that's an idea. We also did, classes for guitar, classes for bass, classes for drums, where one of the people on our team that served in those areas we'd have an open call for, hey, guitar players, come. And they just, how guitar players love, how many guitar players in here? You guys love to talk about gear and sit around and play, and that's what they did. And it ended up being a great recruiting tool. And so if you're headed down that music theory path, like maybe you don't have a college close, but maybe you have a high school close, and you've got a high school band director or choir director or somebody. Maybe they're in your church even, and you could say, hey, would you ever consider coming and teaching some music theory to our team? I mean, I think.
Yeah, that was an awesome idea, and it worked. I would also say, I would ask the Lord. The Lord knows where the holes are. God, bring the people. You know that we need a singer. You know we need a guitar player. You know we need a piano player. Whatever it is, we need a sound guy. You know. So I would begin to ask him, you bring the people. Bring who we need, and then your responsibility is to be ready when he brings them. Because I believe that if you begin to pray that prayer, he is going to respond, and then you need to be ready to receive them and make sure that your place at your church and your department is a place where they feel and they know that they belong and they're welcomed and they're excited about getting involved in this thriving worship department. And there are many people who count it a privilege, and they should, to be on the ground level, especially if you're just beginning to build something. People get excited about that. So I would ask God, help me fill these positions. You know what our needs are. Amen. Help us.
And okay, this is my last Brother Paul Balash reference too. We, because of social media and live streams and all that, and I was guilty of it. And I don't mean guilty, but I would watch a lot of other live streams just to kind of get a sense for what people were doing and listen to songs and all that. And I think we get in a hurry. I think we get in a hurry because we see, the mega church down the road has all of this, so we have to have all of this. Well, no, you don't, right? They need to be who God's calling them to be, and you need to be who God's calling you to be. Yeah. And it is better to not have a position filled than to have it filled with the wrong person.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Right? Leaders have to, you gotta teach, you gotta establish, teach, and protect culture, the culture of your team, right? Any questions in the room? Come up to this mic and fire away. Anybody? Yeah, come on up.
Hi, my name is Carl, and I have been serving at my relatively small church of about 70 people for about 15 years now in the role of worship pastor. And in the past couple of years, I've also started to do the preaching and take over the leadership role. But at the same time, because of that, I recognize the opportunity and the necessity for bringing up other leaders that are now younger than I am to kind of take my place and to do what I've been doing so that the work can be passed around and the saints can be equipped for ministry. So one of the leaders that I'm working to raise up to take my place, he's very good at worship artistry, music, song selection, those kinds of things. But one thing that he seems to have struggled with is transitions, spoken, verbal transitions between songs. It comes naturally for me because I preach and I talk, and I usually talk too much. But for him, he's struggling with anything to say other than congregation, let's sing today. And then he doesn't know what else to say. So what advice might you give to someone who's learning how to make it more than just I'm up here strumming my guitar and singing the songs?
That is a great question. I would say, we practice so many of the things that happen in our services. I hope. I hope you're not getting up there and doing it for the first time when the people are there. And so, I am not. I never was super comfortable at just talking off the cuff, and so I would practice all of those. Practicing, I would even write them out ahead of time, like during the week. There were times if you're fortunate enough to have like a rear screen or a screen down low with lyrics on it, or even just a music stand where you can print it out. I would write it out. I would have it there, and that may be something you can help him with. Like, here's some ideas for how to transition those songs. I don't think a verse of scripture is ever bad. We can't really have too much of that in our services, and so my encouragement would be spend as much time on that as you're going to spend on all the other stuff, because that really you kind of moving into pastoring the moment, with those transition times. And if you were here last night, we saw some beautiful pastoring of those moments from Paul Balash. And so, that'd be my encouragement. I'd write. I was a 30-year guy, and even at the end, I was still writing mine out, just to make sure I'm not saying, like the stereotype for worship leaders is you just quote a lyric. Guys, our lyrics cannot be our deepest conversation about God, about who He is, about what He's doing in our life. And so, I'd write them out ahead of time and practice.
Yeah. And there's really no need to repeat the lyrics because you're going to be singing the lyrics. I totally agree with the practicing. I would encourage him to literally, in his office or in his home, wherever he's planning these, to worship himself through the set. How is he feeling? At the end of singing that particular worship song, how are you feeling? What does your heart want to say to the Lord in that moment? And then knowing what's coming next. And those are things that's a process that I have to go through. Legitimately, how am I feeling? What do I want to say to God? What do I want to express to Him in this moment? Having just sung, your goodness is running after me, and what do I want to say to God after that? And so we really do try. I had someone tell me years ago, don't set up a song with the words they're about to sing, because they're about to sing those words. And so it kind of makes it sound like we didn't think about this, or we're not, there wasn't practice or thought that went into this, or prayer that went into this. So not that it happens all the time, but we try not to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else? Questions in the room? We've got probably time for one more. Anybody? Your ministries are all perfect, and that makes my heart happy. Believe me. You're going to put me out of a job, of course, if that's the case. So, yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Mark, and I wanted to ask a question about song selection. And in my specific church context, we tend to skew a bit older, but we have some more younger families who have been coming recently. My question about song selection is, how would you balance choosing songs that maybe the older generation can still connect with, but also songs that are either fresh or are more relevant to those younger families? How would you balance song selection when thinking pastorally about a congregation with a variety of ages?
That's a great question. The last church I served was multi-generational, and they loved that. And so I think that has to be really, really intentional on your part, on the part of the pastor, on the part of whoever is doing the majority of the song selections. Have you are you getting feedback from either the older or younger audience?
Occasionally, sorry, I probably should.
You're good, yeah.
Occasionally, some of the older people will say we should only do old songs.
Gotcha.
But but some of the people around my age would ask me if we can do a few more fresher songs.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
I hear it from both sides.
So this would be my my advice, and my advice is always not perfect, but this is how I would handle it. I would make sure I got my pastor on board, and it might be a good thing to maybe gather with the older folks in the congregation, maybe a little fireside chat, that just says, hey man, we're going to do old songs. We love you. You guys, we're standing on your shoulders because the church is still here because you came and gave sacrificially and served sacrificially. And so you need to know, we're always going to do those songs. We've got some new folks coming in, and they have needs, thoughts as well. And so what we're going to do is blend some things together. And we need you on board. We need you to be, we need you to help us with this, because what we don't want to have happen is this is going to sound sort of crass, but once you're gone, we want the church to still be here, right? And so we've got to do things that reach every generation.
Absolutely.
Anything you would add to that?
Yeah, I don't have anything to add to that. I mean, really, that God has used you in multiple churches to help. I mean, some of the younger people in this room are probably not even aware that there was a season of the worship wars. Hymns versus choruses. This was quite a while ago.
Lived through that? Oh, yeah. Oh, man.
But Brian lived through that on staff at multiple churches. And so, he's the one to speak to that issue.
Yeah, that was a wild time, right? That was a wild time. Any other questions in the room? Yes, sir. We got one more. This will probably be our last, but I think it's going to be a good one. I have high expectations for this.
Hi, my name is Joey. Just a quick and easy one. We've kind of realized that as our church that we're trying to reach even further and using tools like the internet. We've upgraded our live stream, but now we're wanting to go a step further and we're starting a podcast. So I figured what better time to ask do you have any suggestions or hints or tips on, where to start and kind of going from there?
Yeah, I think, well, I'm glad you asked that. So I would say, so in the case of ministry, like Ministry 101 is kind of know your people, right? So for starting a podcast, you got to identify who are your people. And you need to communicate as consistently with your people as you can. Now, our podcast happens to be a weekly podcast. Doesn't have to be every week. It could be every other week. It could be once a month. It could be whatever it's going to be. And nowadays, the technology is so like everybody has a podcast. Like when we started this in 2018, not everybody had a podcast, and so our first episodes were not great, right? So we didn't have any mentors, nobody to help us. So I would say, figure out who your people are, communicate with them as regularly as possible, and then you want to would this be all? You're using this to reach, you said. Is that right?
Correct. And kind of expanding on maybe what we've discussed in a sermon.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like a round table kind of discussion.
Yeah. I love that. So like round table discussions, if you didn't hear that, like reinforcing sermon. So even almost small group sort of material. I love that idea, by the way. Yeah, man, I would, you got to... getting people on board is so my thing is you gotta figure out what you're gonna tell them, right? And then you gotta tell them, and then you gotta tell them what you told them, right? That's my 3-prong approach to communication. And so, yeah, man, I think that's an amazing outreach, and that puts the power in their hands or their ears or their cars or whatever. And I would just do it as well as you can do it. We don't always record on iPhones video, but we happen to be doing that today because of my limitations. So yeah, do it as well as you can, and we'll be cheering you on, man. That's a really great That's a really great. Anything you would add?
Absolutely.
Add to that?
Just remember why you're doing it, because I just started, Brian's been doing this since 2018 every single week. And when I say every week, I mean he has never, since 2018, taken a week off. And I didn't realize what a grind that can become until I started my podcast just a year ago, January. And I've already taken a little break and so remember why you're doing it, because there will come a time where, it's time for another podcast. So remember why you're doing it. And that's what keeps me going.
Yeah, amen. So that is the segment that we call sliding into the DMs, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, Brian, you know what time it is?
What time is it?
It's time for prayer concerns.
Oh, man, prayer concerns. You know them, you love them. You ever gotten a savage comment, like just something totally sideswipes you from somebody in the congregation? And it might be, man, why is the sound so loud? The lights are in my eyes. Do you need money for new jeans? Your jeans have holes in them. Why are you wearing a hat? Or don't be messing with my hymns, man. Why do you put some new section in the middle of my hymn? Whatever, all manner. And so we call those jokingly prayer concerns. Now, you can submit those on our website, worshipleaderprobs.com. Click on prayer concerns up in the menu. Now, some people get confused and they send me their prayer requests. If you do that, I will pray for you. I absolutely will, and I have many times. That's not really what we're asking for, but I will happily pray for you. So prayer concerns, you submit those there. You'll always be anonymous. You can DM those to us on any of the socials. But we share this. We're not laughing at anyone, but life is so serious, right? We need to take a breath and just be reminded we're not alone in what we're wrestling with out here. And so that's why we do these. We hope it makes you laugh. So let's dive right in. Prayer concern number 1. I noticed you tuning your guitar as we were starting service. You really should do that earlier because you're a leader and people need to see a leader that comes prepared.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah.
Did that really need to
opinions.
be?
Yeah,
written
opinions.
down.
It always amazes me. At no point does a filter kick in going, I shouldn't say that. They just come at you. Okay, number 2, prayer concern number 2. This one we have shared before, but it says, last night, a lady asked our worship director to turn off the haze because it was bothering her corn allergy. Corn is in pretty much everything, she said. It makes my tongue swell up.
Oh, boy.
Corn allergy. Corn allergy. I don't think that's how haze works. In fact, I'm pretty certain that's not how haze works.
Yeah.
But you can it's also okay to just say you don't like haze. You know, we don't have to make up an illness. Okay, sorry, that was an aside. Okay, number 4, prayer concern number 4. Our church, like most others, is doing a fast. Yesterday, somebody messaged the church Facebook page saying he wants to join the fast and he wants to fast from electricity, but he has a turkey in the freezer and he doesn't want it to ruin, so he wanted to know how to get around that. Anybody monitor your church's Facebook messages? That's the Wild West, man. If you have a live stream especially, that is the Wild West. Okay, here's the last one. We call that the bottom of the pudding cup. Prayer concern number 5. And it says, this is a comment that we got after a service a couple of weeks ago. Your job is to prepare people's hearts for the message, and you're not doing that because the music is too loud and you all sing too high. Your tones are not pleasing to the ear.
Your tones are not pleasing to the ear.
Just rolled up and insulted
some poor guy's tones.
Some guy's tones, man. Oh my gosh. Well, okay, so those are prayer concerns. Send yours in to us. Go to the website, worshipleaderprobs.com, click on prayer concerns in the menu, or you can DM those to us on any of the socials. Well, before we bounce here, just a couple of things to keep you aware of. Worship Karaoke is our car podcast. Episodes once a month of that. Got a great episode dropping in February with some friends in Chicago. January's episode was a pastor named Ian Simpkins, who is just an unbelievable, that was a great one. You can always watch the first 15 minutes of those episodes on Instagram. If you want to see the whole episode, and we hope that you do, head over to our YouTube at Worship Probs. Make sure you hit subscribe, and you can see the full episodes over there. Kim, tell us about some other stuff that we've got going on.
Yeah, I have a strip-free podcast that's a podcast for women. I believe God strips each of us from something for something. So we talk about the spiritual stripping process we go through as God's daughters. And then Brian and I do these events called Worship Encounters, where we come to your church and on a Saturday, and it's kind of like a little retreat for your worship department. We do general sessions talking about heart prep, and we do vocal breakouts and band breakouts, those kinds of things. We love that. And I also do women's conferences. So we'd love to talk with you about any of those things.
Yeah, any of those things. Just shoot an email, info at worshipleaderprobs.com, and we can have conversations about that. And then next fall, we will be at the Experience Conference. Anybody ever been to Experience Conference in Orlando? It is... It starts the day after Labor Day. It's every September. It's at Walt Disney World at the Coronado Springs Resort. It's a phenomenal worship event. We have a link in our bio for that with a special discount code, PROBS26. It'll save you $30 for every registration. And so we would love to see you down there. It's a great conference, and you can, again, find that through the link in our bio. Well, man, we're always glad to do these live podcasts, and this is episode 377.
Yeah, now make sure you're subscribed wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode, and we'd love for you to take a minute to head over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star rating with a nice review. Thanks also for following us on all the socials, at Worship Probs on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and Threads, at Worship Leader Probs on TikTok. You can also join the Worship Probs community group on Facebook and search the hashtag Worship Leader Probs on Twitter.
And okay, that Worship Probs community group on Facebook. Anybody ever joined a Facebook community group or any kind of group? You have to answer those security questions or whatever. If you join ours, do that. Because I let a spammer in once who was messaging people about Amway products, and it was a bad deal. So I let somebody in who didn't answer the question. So answer the questions, but we'd love to have you join that group. And that's not memes. That's different content than any other platform that we're on. So that's really leaders helping leaders. You know, you got a question, a little bit of what we did here today for sliding into the DMs. People are asking questions all the time in there, and other leaders are chiming in to help. And a huge, massive shout out to our friend Ali Bajanos from Ali B Creative. She does really great work with our podcast and the Strip Free podcast. All of our logos and anything that really looks good on our channel came from Ali. So if your church, maybe your social media team needs some help with creating content or posting schedules or whatever that looks like, or you need a website, or your company needs some help on social media, we'll tag Ali in the description. And 10 out of 10, I would recommend that you reach out to her. And thanks to our friend Scott Hoke for our intro. Guys, we love you. Until next time, deuces.
KT out.